Okay, today is Saturday. Yes, the day after we had a very big news as far as Nigerians are concerned. Several Nigerians have cried for the Nigerian government as well as the United States government to take serious actions on the issue of the killings that have been going on for more than a decade in Nigeria. And President Donald J. Trump just did that. He did not wait for the bill that was being sponsored in the House of Representatives and Senate of the United States. He went ahead to declare Nigeria a country of particular concern. And Nigeria now has joined the League of Saudi Arabia, China, Russia, and several other countries which have been offending human rights, especially the rights of people to their religion. Now, there have been some outcries in Nigeria about the actions that the President of the United States took, including reactions from the government of Nigeria, which did say that the problem that we have in Nigeria is not a problem of a religion, but a problem of terrorists who are killing everybody, Muslims. And as well, the government did say that this problem, it did not create this problem, that this problem has been there for a long time. Now, of course, this problem has been there for a long time, but a report of the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom 2025 acknowledges the fact that some of these actions have been undertaken by non-state actors, that the government is not doing much to rein in these non-state actors who are causing so much havoc in the country. So what do you think about these actions? Or do you think that this action that has been taken by the United States government will ginger the Nigerian government to sit up?
First, I just want to say that in Nigeria we politicize issues like this too much. We have so politicized issues to the extent that human lives have now become, a thing for politics. When this issue first came in the limelight, sponsored by Ted Cruz, I expected the Nigerian government at that time to tackle this issue head on. But the Nigerian government has been playing politics, and I will come to this part later, to the fact that less than 24 hours after Donald Trump, uh, uh, issued that statement and the rest of them, I've seen a lot of politics of religion and ethnicity at play within the last 24 hours. First, everyone is denying the fact that, yes, because we've seen different narratives since this issue came into the limelight, that no such thing have happened. Christians have been unalive, Muslims have been unalive. That is just a blanket issue of insecurity in Nigeria. But that is not the case. And some people think that what we are seeing now about Christian genocide in Nigeria is something that started yesterday. Some people, one thing I want to believe in Nigeria is that people have what we call political amnesia. People forget easily what is happening. Most of these killings we are talking about is not something that happened yesterday or last year or the last 2 years. This is something that is systematic. It has been there for more than 10 years now. Because people just forget easily how in 2016, in 2013, 2014, how Christians were buried in mass graves in Plateau State, how Christians were buried in mass graves in Benue State. Even when the late Buhari was there as president, how Christians were buried in mass graves. People just forget all of these things so easily. So people just think, oh, because what we have now is just bandits disturbing the whole place in the Northwest. They think Christians and Muslims are, all victims of this problem. This is not something that started now. It's a systematic thing. Is it the bombing in Suleja, the Catholic Church in Owo, and the rest of them? I happened to be in northern Nigeria when some of these things took place, and some of these things were not documented. And I think sometimes people do not even understand, the gravity of this whole thing. In 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, it was more like something that happened like a periodic thing. Every December period, January, we see people buried in mass graves in Benue and Plateau State, even up until 2 years ago. So when people say these things are not happening in Nigeria, now this thing happens so much that even the incumbent president of Nigeria at one time tweeted about this issue, that Christians are being killed in in Nigeria, and he doubted the capacity of the then president Goodluck Jonathan to manage the issue of security in Nigeria. So it is not something that we have to play politics about. I dare to say, in the last 24 hours, I've monitored different social media platforms, and I found out that people from a section of the Nigeria, not even in North, people from the Southwest, have all been saying that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is being witch hunted. You see how people play politics with the life of people that have gone. And then we've seen how luckily some of these things have been documented in the report that we have read that has made Donald Trump to go to the essence of declaring Nigeria as a country of interest. So definitely, for me, I think this is a welcome a welcome development, because Christians are truly persecuted as far as the Nigerian state is concerned.
Yeah, but the reasons why, if we take a look at the report, I'll go to the report shortly. You will notice that the issues that outlined therein are more than just the challenges of killing of Christians, as important as that might be. The issues that were raised in the report include the issues of the blasphemy law, of the Sharia law, as well as the issues of so many people being imprisoned today, including Muslims, by some state governments who are pursuing a blasphemy law that is outrightly should not be recognized in a plural society where people canvass views and have different religions. So when I see that people narrow everything down to the simple issue of the numbers of people that have been killed, whether more Muslims have been killed or more Christians have been killed, it begs the question. And I think at a point, I actually thought that the people canvassing those opinions were actually deliberately trying to divert attention from the weighty issues that have been raised by the United States Congress. And of course, we also have the questions which those, unfortunately, including government officials who are raising the issue of whether how many more Christians or Muslims are killed. I fail to ignore that the report that the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom brought out in 2025 also lists the fact that Muslims were being killed, and by these terrorists, it did acknowledge, so to say, that Muslims were also being killed. But then the second question, that when you now have people saying that more Muslims have been killed, the question you will ask is, how did they know the number of Muslims that were killed, since federal government did not do any investigation? And in our census, in the last 30, 40 years or more, in all the census that were conducted in the country, religion as a category was removed. So nobody knows which religion has people or not. So it's very funny that people are saying that more Muslims have been killed, because the first point is that we don't put the category of religion in the census that we do. So how did they come to know that more Muslims have been killed? Number two is that because government has not done any investigations and the churches keep records of their members, it therefore is logical to insist that it is only the churches that know the number of their members that have been killed. And the people who are saying that, thirdly, who are saying that more Muslims have been killed, have not even brought out any statistics to counter the statistics that are issued by the church, which also, I think, aligns with your question, with your position that simply engaging in we're simply engaging in politicizing an issue that should not be politicized.
You see, sometimes they said if you want to hide something from Nigerians, put it inside a book. You see, sometimes some of the narrative you see on social media, sometimes some of the engagement you see from even politicians themselves, some of them are just mere beer parlor narratives, beer parlor talks, without evidence, without any background, without anything to substantiate claims. And when people like us talk, we're talking from the point of view of facts, from the point of view of evidence, from the point of view of raw data that has been collected by scholars, and then these things have been aggregated, put in a book, documented evidence for people to see. You see, One thing that's like I've said time and again that if we don't kill those things, they will kill Nigeria. Is the issue of religion. I remember very clearly in 2006 when the last census was held in Nigeria. I know the politics that happened before that census held to the extent that Jamaat Nasli Islam insisted that religion must be expunged from the document or from whatever will be used to collect the data of how many Nigerians we have. This was in 2006. And I followed that event so keenly. At the end of the day, they had to twist Olusegun Obasanjo, and he accepted that, okay, religion should be expunged from that distance. So that way we can't even tell how many Muslims are there, how many Christians are there. And for people to say that, okay, the Muslims are also killed in large number, they do not even have any facts to back up these arguments. And how many times, apart from the recent times that we've seen bandits, 2 or 3 times enter into a mosque to kill people, and some of the times that Boko Haram in 2009, 2010, 2011 made selective killings of people who they thought or who they thought were helping the government to fish them out, and then they make selective killings of these people in different mosques and the rest of them. I don't think the people that have been killed, in terms of all of these things, can be, can make up for, what. Recently, I saw a video of that reverend who was trying to say that, look, if you say there's no Christian genocide in Nigeria, and then he showed a board of like names of people that he knows that have been at one time or the other killed as a result of this. What people do not even understand, in 2014, I remember very clearly when Jonathan was the president. I remember at one time that Fulani headers went to a gathering where people were shot, people who were already there to mourn and to bury people that were already killed previously, and then killed them simply because they were Christians. And we've seen these things happen time and again. And if you say, oh, Muslims have also been killed, have they been targeted deliberately in this act of genocide, or some of them are part of what we call collateral damage? And although the report says that, okay, Muslims have also been killed, but have they been targeted? There's a difference between people caught in crossfire, or people who fall victims, or people who were part of bloodthirsty terrorists. Are there people who are targeted primarily or principally because of their faith? So, when I see some people engage in some of this narrative that, oh, the Muslims have been killed, and just like you said, can they provide the names of people who have become victims of these things, or targeted specifically because of their religion, or they have been targeted because bandits just want to take advantage of the weak security nature of Nigeria, attack villages, get them to pay dues and all of that. So some of these people who are saying this thing, they do not even understand the fact that there's a certain report that exists that captured all of these things and has been released in 2025. Because what they do not know is that Donald Trump, as a president, will not just wake up because he has hatred for certain class of people, just make Nigeria a country of interest. He must have relied entirely on certain facts and reports. So when you see this thing, I ask them, show your fact, or are you just speaking because your pilot talk, or you have fact to back up your claims? And like I said, the issue of religion and ethnicity has always been a problem in Nigeria, and it will not stop today, or neither will it stop tomorrow. And we've always politicized. At the end of the day, I made it clear to someone last week. I said, when we say Christians have been killed, Muslims have been killed, this is even a serious indictment on the Nigerian government, because the constitution says that the primary reason why we have a government is for security and welfare. So if the government at the end of the day cannot even guarantee that they are saying Muslims are killed, nobody should even be killed, whether Christians or Muslims. Nobody should even be killed. For the fact that the government is even politicizing this whole thing, it shows that the government should not even be there in the first place, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, I think let's take a look at the report. I want to share the report on the screen in a minute. You see the countries that are involved. That you have Eritrea, you have Nicaragua, and
Afghanistan,
then you Afghanistan and Nigeria. You can see on my screen that the report that was
Yes.
that led to all this we're talking about. That he said the last paragraph on the first column of the key findings says the Nigerian federal government also continued to enforce blasphemy laws that include a penalty of up to 2 years imprisonment for acts persons consider as public insult on their religion.
Okay.
Several states governments also enforce their more stringent blasphemy laws to prosecute and imprison individuals perceived to have insulted religion, including Christians, Muslims, and humanists. At least 5 prisoners remain in state custody on blasphemy charges at the end of the year, including Mubarak Bala, Yahaya Sharif Aminu, Ismaila Sani Isa, Sheikh Abdul Jabbar Nasiru Kabara, and Abdulaziz Inyas.
Okay.
So
Let
you
me.
can see that the United States is not just talking about Christians. You can see the list of the people here includes non non includes non-Christians,
It's,
Muslims mainly.
yes.
And if you
Yes.
go to the
I
last
think.
paragraph of
I
that
think I'm.
second column,
Okay.
you
I
also
think I may.
see that.
Okay.
Let me read. It says in July, the Anambra state government demolished an indigenous shrine after the governor and Catholic bishops called on the state to eliminate and banish neo paganism and works of darkness and evil. Similarly, the House of Assembly in Ebonyi State uh, also in Southeast banned certain behavior such as spiritual cleansing. Of course, so you can see that the report is not a report that is out to attack Muslims, but a report that, in my opinion, also, if you go to the preceding paragraphs, it talked about the killings that have been very massive. And the main thing in the very first paragraph of the key findings is in 2024, religious freedom conditions in Nigeria remained poor. Federal and state governments continue to tolerate attacks or fail to respond to violent actions by non-state actors who justify their violence on religious grounds. These actors include Jamatu al-Sunnah leader, that is Jazz or Boko Haram, and the Islamic State for West Africa, ISWAP. Bandit groups also participated in attacks against religious communities as well, which is true from where I come from and also certain parts of Plateau, Benue, and Nasarawa, Kaduna, because in all of these places where villages were attacked, what happened was that the churches were primary victims of such attacks. In almost all the places that were attacked, church buildings were destroyed and pastors were primary victims of those attacks. You were trying to
Okay.
say something.
Yes. I think I may have omitted issues relating to the blasphemy while I was giving my submission before you brought up this thing. You see, in that report, you mentioned the fact that Northerners who were alleged to have blasphemed against the faith, they're in prison. But the Christians who were alleged to have blasphemed paid the ultimate price of death. Is it the woman in Kubwa? Is it the Deeper Life woman in Kano, Kubwa, Abuja? Is it the Gideon Akaluka? Is it Deborah in Sokoto? And so many others that we have seen. Even recently, there was a video I saw about somebody that was lynched to death simply because they alleged that the person, was blasphemous. And the ones that you have mentioned, sometime in 2018, I met someone who was a Muslim, and then they said that they no longer believe in Muslim, and then they joined a teaming list group of atheists in Abuja, and then they said they were going to kill the person. I happened to come across that person, and then we had some talks, and I said, look, it is your fundamental human right to believe, to denounce whatever religion you want to denounce as far as Nigeria is concerned. And Nigeria is secular, and then the constitution says that you have your freedom to associate, the freedom to religion, and freedom to whatever you believe in. So you don't have to be scared. And the person showed me messages that he received from family members and from other people who used to know them as Muslims, and then now they are declaring that they are atheists, they no longer believe in God, and all of that. And I said, I would advise you to approach a lawyer to get them to get the court to enforce your fundamental rights. That was that. Now, that report, that place you just highlighted, you see that those people who were indicted or alleged to have blasphemed, they are in prison. But the Christians who have, at one time or the other, alleged to have blasphemed, got the instant judgment of death. And as we speak, no punishment has been meted out to such persons. And the issue of Anambra and the Southeast, when that issue came on board, I tried to study the issue closely to find out why is the government clamping down on traditionalists. But at the end of the day, I was able to establish that not all traditionalists were affected, because the ones that the government really clamped down on were the ones allegedly sponsoring or doing charms for boys who were engaged in advanced fee fraud, boys who were engaged in a romance scam, boys who were engaged in what we popularly known as Yahoo, or the ones engaged in acts of money rituals. And the government, they went to the shrine, they saw all of this. And one of a particular case was the one I saw where the government went to a shrine and they found out, they saw different charm and photographs of different politicians there. They believe people come there to charm them and the rest of them. So according to the government claimed that they clamped down on those aspects of the traditionalists were the ones who were doing carrying out illicit charms, or they at one time found out that they used human blood for sacrifice and the rest of them, because there are still some registered traditionalists who are practicing in those states, Ebonyi and Anambra State, who nothing happened to them. So I think for me, I think this explains that, because for that blasphemy thing, you know very well there are some Christians who were alleged to have blasphemed. Why don't you just take them there? And besides, everybody has the right to say whatever they want based on their beliefs. So you cannot impose your beliefs on people simply because this is what you believe in. Some of us are Christians simply because we were born into Christian homes. Some people are Muslims simply because we were born into Muslim homes. So you cannot impose or superimpose your beliefs and religion on anybody. So if anybody says they do not believe in anything and they are not breaking any law of the land by proclaiming or saying whatever they want to say against your religion, you have no right whatsoever to attack that person or to met out any form of judgment. Because the judgment you want to met out, or what code or what penal code, what criminal code would you use to prosecute such an individual? And I think one of the reasons why Nigeria is even in that list, aside what Ted Cruz and the rest of them have been pursuing, is the fact that there's no religious freedom in Nigeria. And people do not have a right to express their religious views as far as Nigeria is concerned. I think the whole thing still borders on issue related to human rights.
Yes, well, one or two persons may join us as we proceed
Okay.
in the discussion. But come to think of it, the issue of religious right. Let me show you, let me get some documentations, get some things up. But before I get them up, the fact of the matter is that the fear of most people in government is that once you have the government, you have this tag on Nigeria, they may receive sanctions or may receive some penalties. That's actually their fear, because all the arguments of governments that I've had did not deny the allegations, did not deny the issues that were being mentioned, issues that people are complaining about. I didn't see denial. All I saw is people being afraid that if this goes ahead, they may receive some penalties. What really I should people fear in the worst case scenario when it comes to this CPC status for Nigeria?
The worst case scenario would be certain form of embargo, which is not really that deep. So the government might not even feel the heat as much as the citizens. Certain persons who wants to travel, in Nigeria, they put more scrutiny. So the first time Nigeria went into this such a list was after the failed Abdul Muttalib bombing in 2008. I think something like that. when Nigeria was now put, declared a country of interest after the failed bomb attack by the Abdul Muttalib in 2008. I think something like that, 2007 or 2008. When I think it should be 2008 or 2009 when that thing happened. That's December time when that thing happened, and Nigeria was put on the watch list. So if in this case Nigeria is put on the watch list because of this, it's going to really affect travelers, people who are traveling from Nigeria. And the government might decide that, okay, or anybody who wants to do a background check on Nigeria based on the report of the US might really affect the FDI, foreign direct investment that are coming into Nigeria. So it might affect when people want to do things relating to Nigeria. All of this might affect, and then it might affect Nigerians rating, different things, transparency, international ease of doing business, so many things. So all of this might have all round ramification for Nigeria. But above all, it will be within the human rights index. It will also affect Nigeria's rating there, considering that issue relating to religion has to do with human rights. People have the right to live. People have the right to air their views and all of that. So all of this might have all of this implication until Nigeria is removed from such lists. And Nigeria might see increasing rate of visa denial of people who want to go to the US, people who want to do business because Nigeria is a country of interest. So all of this might have all of this form of ramifications as far as Nigeria is concerned. And certain people might have their visa revoked, like we've seen in the past. Certain personalities or people who were actually charged with the responsibility of ensuring that human rights exist, of enforcing people's rights, and they've done nothing, or they probably played politics with or sided with the government. So some people might have certain form of privileges or their visas revoked. So all of this might just have all round ramification. And what people, the insurance do not even know is that the people who are charged with responsibility of charged with responsibility of collecting all this, they monitor social media presence. And like you have said, and in terms of buying of ammunition and the rest of them from the US, it might just be a reduction in that area. So it might have a lot of uh, ramification for the Nigerians, especially now that Nigeria is trying to, the present administration is trying to gain the confidence of foreign investment and the rest of them. So all of this might just have all round effect on the Nigerian state within the international system.
Yeah, as you can see, I just posted something that I got
Yes.
online from on this matter. You have the issue of reputation that Nigeria will suffer because it will be seen as a violator of human rights and religious
Human rights.
freedom. There'll be strained in diplomatic relationship with the US in particular, a potential reduction in non-humanitarian aid. And of course, you mentioned the issue of direct foreign investment, uh, issue of military uh, cooperation, and of course, all the claims by Nigerian government authorities that everything is fine in Nigeria now will no longer be taken. But above all, for me, is the fact that I think that many of those people, many times, what simply happens is that the US government will target individuals and groups and institutions like Boko Haram and co. In fact, that is recommended in the report, who have complicit in the things that have happened. And what I do understand with the international system is it's not so much that some wrong actions have been taken by any state, but whether the state has the capacity to redress those situations. And that is where I think I find the responses by the Nigerian government very funny, because they appear to be giving the impression to the world that they are not capable of handling the issue. Their response should have been that, okay, we have had these allegations, we're going to investigate and see how we can redress and set up committees or go to these churches and these pastors who are complaining. Bring your facts. And on the basis of those facts, they try to take some action to redress, because the international system, including the United States, will be satisfied if they do know that you have capacity to redress. But like the report says, the government is showing their lack of interest or complicity in addressing the issues. And that's what makes it very difficult. And I think that there are some human rights campaigners groups that will go to the next level, that individual state governors, individual persons who are complicit by their statements or actions, especially those state houses of assemblies that have sponsored this repressive blasphemy law, is that they are likely to get their visas denied or have sanctions placed on them.
Yes, absolutely. So, and when I saw the government response this morning, I said, this is a very, very, very wrong move. I don't know who advised. I don't think if the foreign affairs minister was really knows his onions, he shouldn't have, because whatever response the foreign ministry gave must have been approved by the government of the day. So I don't think when I read the response, so what I expected is exactly what you have said. You shall say, okay, we have acknowledged your concerns about what's happened in Nigeria, but definitely you must have gotten this information from credible or whatever sources. The government of the day is really poised. The government of the day is really ready, or trying to maintain security. But some of the things we inherited, and some of the issue relating to this persecution or genocide that you are saying, it's not something that started yesterday. So we'll do everything we can to ensure this is thoroughly investigated. And what I expected, to be honest, what I expected the government would have done, would have said, okay, we'll carry out a public hearing on these issues. We'll call the actors involved in these matters, those who have alleged in the past that they are people that they knew have been killed or affected by these allegations. We will call them in an open public hearing to get their facts, and then we'll get government to investigate. I think this act of transparency alone will get the US government or other authorities to say, okay, these countries acknowledge that some of these things are happening, and they are taking remedies, taking steps to address them. Not just coming outrightly to say Muslims and Christians have been killed. These are human lives you're talking about. That means at the end of the day, you are indicting yourself, telling those outsiders that you don't even have capacity to manage insecurity in Nigeria. Especially, this is a government that is calling out for foreign direct investment, calling for military aid and the rest of them. And an oil producing country for that matter, with so much money, and they see all of the profligacies of public office holders and the rest of them. So you just know that the government is not taking security, primarily as a function of government. They're just doing other things. So the president tweeted just a few years ago, acknowledging, when he was in the opposition, acknowledging that there was indeed a genocide against Christians in Nigeria. So with that now, and it's a verified account, with that now, so what I expected to do, because instead of you to backtrack, everybody knows it's politics. You simply say, we have acknowledged, we'll carry out investigation, carry out a public hearing that will be televised, the whole world would see that, okay, yes, we're truly on top of this issue, we're investigating, we will prosecute, make scapegoats out of people, and then this will send signal to everybody that, look, yes, we have a government that truly acknowledges the fact this, because even the ones that say Christians and Muslims have been killed, how many people that have been involved in these killings have been brought to book, have been prosecuted? We've not seen any. Even the recent one in the Yelwata, they just brought out some riffraffs at the end of the day, 7 people, and said these were the ones who carried out the killing. All these things were just lies. How many have been prosecuted? So in the long run, even the Suleja bombing and the rest of them, people that were found with checks and were arrested in Borno, where are they today? The people who killed in Owo and the rest of, where are they today? A lot of people have been granting amnesty. So they just see that the government is just playing politics with human lives. So they know all these things. So I don't think the government should, because giving instant, it's not a question of just giving instant response. It should be a response that will placate people, placate all the stakeholders. So I think the government did not do well as far as that response was concerned for me.
Okay, you are referring to the tweet that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu official
Yes, this was
but
2014.
at 10:41 a.m. 2014,
Yes, and if
January 1, where he
and
said The
Yes.
slaughtering of Christian worshippers is strongly condemnable. It calls to question the competence of Jonathan to protect Nigerians.
Now,
So the
if
question people will ask him now is, when did the slaughtering of Nigerians end?
and if you remember, when I started my submission, I said what people do not understand is the fact that these killings we are talking about, it is not something that started yesterday. This is a systemic thing that has been on for over 10 years. Even the president, when he was in opposition, tweeted about it, acknowledging the fact that Christians are being slaughtered. You see? So it's not something, because some people just come out, where are the killings? Not such killing happened 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I said, no, it's not something that happened just 2, 3 years ago. This is a systemic thing that has been on for over 10 years. Even the president, when he was in opposition, acknowledged it. So many people have not acknowledged it, even though some of them have deleted the tweet and all right. Some people just so they think it's something that happened 2, 3 years ago. No, it's a systemic thing since 2014 or before even
Yeah, we
2014.
have Uncle Peter Asekokhai joining us, but we can only see his head. We can't see your face. You need to
It is
take
to
your
adjust the
camera up.
camera to think.
Yeah. Yes, Uncle P, what contribution do you have for this our discussion?
He's muted.
Yes, I'm meeting him now.
I know about the topic, but I have not been listening to your conversation or debate. Well,
Yes, we're just
my take
go
on
ahead.
this
Go
is
ahead.
that it really doesn't matter which way Nigeria government take it. It looked to me that the action the Americans are taking will make us wake up in Nigeria. We can't deny the fact that they said people have been killed on both sides, Muslim, non-Muslim, Christian. That's really not the major issue here. The major issue is what is Nigeria doing about all the killings that are taking place. That's the main issue we should be debating. And my take on this, I'm glad, although I'm glad the Americans are saying something now, which I think it will make Nigeria to wake up. Your gentleman there was saying that the action the Americans are taking, some people are worried in Nigeria that it might affect their traveling to that part of the world when they want to obtain visa. I think the people that should be worried are the people that are in government that the Americans are actually talking about. It's not like me or you who want to go to the States. No, they are the one to be worried. And if they are really worried, if they are concerned, then I think about time they wake up and address the issue. Because if they don't, we don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know the next course of action. The Americans, they are unpredictable. We really don't know. We have to wake up. You know very well the killing that is going on in Nigeria now is unacceptable. Doesn't matter whichever way you look at it, it's not acceptable. And something needs to be done. If people are saying the military should come and take over, I don't believe that is the answer in any case. But if you look at what is happening, it looks like the civilians, the people in government today, are not able to do anything about it. They are not capable because they are complete. They are part of the problem. Since they are part of the problem, now the question go begging, what is the next option? What can we do with all the suffering? And as far as I'm concerned, people should speak up. Anyway, I don't want to go because the problem we have at the moment is that Nigeria as a country has failed its citizens because number one priority of any government, forget about food, business, no, number one priority is to protect lives and properties. If you can, as far as Nigeria is concerned, a country like Nigeria where there's total and complete breakdown of law and order, I can't see how we're going to move forward. That's number one priority. If you can't protect life, properties, and lives, where do we go? The judiciary is up the creek. I don't know. Not only America, don't get because Donald Trump is bold because his United States is massive. They have the manpower, they have the everything. It's not the only American that are talking about a failed state like Nigeria. Some people might not be using that word, but we need to wake up. People like you in the media, somehow you have to say something, but unfortunately, the media in Nigeria today are also at fault because they are not reporting the truth. They don't tell you exactly what's going on. So we ordinary citizens, we're in the dark. So I believe what America is doing, to come back to your point, Honorable, is that it's a good step, it's a good move. But I don't think we should have waited for the America to wake us up. I think now is about time we should wake up. And as you say, not only traveling alone, it's going to, if it's not already affecting business, it's going to affect investment. Because no one will come in his right mind with the atmosphere as it is in Nigeria today, we come and invest our money. They don't do it. And if we don't get foreign investment, the country, we keep on borrowing to service debt anyway, because we don't get foreign investment. People are so afraid. They are so concerned about coming to invest in Nigeria. And then I just noticed Tinubu is asking for, is it 2 point something million or billion again to borrow? It seems to me it's borrowing every day because there's no internal generated revenue in our country because we are starved of investment. And these are the sort of things, all the killings that are happening. Some Nigerians might not even know what is going on, the killing, but abroad, government, they have their embassies there. They report back home to their people what is happening there in Nigeria. So that's my take. I hope Nigeria will wake up now because America, partly because it's going to affect investment. The traveling, I say, you don't worry about that anyway, because the people they know they are targeting, they are people in government. These are the people supposed to take action. They are not doing it. They're not taking any action. If you remember, before I let my friend come in, a list, I think it was 2017, a list of the sponsors of terrorism in Nigeria was submitted to the government. They have that list. Buhari was there. Nothing happened. No name. Saudi Arabia, EU, Britain, America. They know the name of those lists. We should start from there. Let them tell us who are sponsoring the bandits, Boko Haram, Fulani headsmen. We know, we probably know. We know how the Fulani headsmen come to Nigeria anyway. Those people troop in through Buhari's period, and now internationally they are watching, they are saying this thing. So I'm glad Americans speak anyway. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak briefly. As you know me, Honorable, you know I can go on anyway, but let me give chance.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you,
I
sir.
think Dr.
Can I just buttress some of the things Daddy said? I think, sir, thank you, sir. You raised very, very, very important points, sir. Because the primary essence of government, according to section 14, subsection 2b of the Nigerian Constitution, says the primary essence of government is security and welfare, nothing else. Those are the two most important elements why we have a government, why the social contract exists in Nigeria, why people transfer their rights to the civilian authority or to government is because the security and welfare. And these two things, whether we like it or not, is absent in Nigeria because otherwise, Nigeria will not degenerate into not just poverty that other countries are classified in. Nigeria has degenerated into multidimensional poverty. That means some basic things of life that even Nigerians cannot even get. Because usually the World Bank used to classify Nigeria people as poor because some Nigerians cannot spend, at least $1 per day. Now it has even degenerated into multidimensional poverty. So it has even grown worse than the poverty index as the world knows it. So if the civilian class has failed, and the reason why I think this government has failed, or previous government before it has failed, is because the issue of corruption supersedes our personal aggrandizement or nepotism or prebendalism, exists more in the minds of the political class than anything else. So what I think, even with this America's declaration, what they would say is, because if you read this, there's a book I read that tried to chronicle the administration of Yaradua. When the report came to him about the Abdul Muttalib bombing, what he said to one of his spokespersons was that, look, events will overtake that one. So the political class, they believe in that no matter, you see, this issue of America, tomorrow, another event will overtake it, no matter how it will dominate the news today. So these are some of the things the political class rely on. And Nigerians, like I said at the beginning of my summation, will have more something I call political amnesia. Nigerians they easily move to, now this thing is happening, is dominating the news. The next week, tomorrow, next tomorrow, the government can even create a diversion to dissuade Nigeria or remove their minds from this issue. And it goes there. And then you talked about the fact that so much borrowing going on. I did a video yesterday or thereabout. I said, look, the Nigerian government has borrowed so much that even the history of Nigeria itself, we've not borrowed that much. So much. How can the government, both domestic and foreign borrowing, has amounted to over 145 trillion? And what Nigerians, some of the questions we're not asking the political class is the fact that, look, when Buhari came into 2015, he said, we're going to institute or set up the treasury single account to block the leakages and all of that. And at one point, out of government propaganda, we have saved 10 trillion. We have saved 15 trillion. Where are these monies? Because as far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, only the FCT has been removed from the TSA so that Wike will have enough money to build roads and do other things. All other government agencies still belong to the TSA. So all the monies they have saved, where are these monies? And recently, the custom came out. We have even exceeded our target for 2025. Where are these revenues? Because if you find that the monies we are borrowing, it is something that would have been generated internally. And FIRS, we have met our target. Where is this target? Nigeria exports close to 1 million barrels of crude oil per day. Now the price is not as bad as what we had during the COVID-19. Even the benchmark for the budget, where are these monies? Because if we have these monies, we will not be going cap in hand, begging the international community to borrow this money. And to tell you what the government has done so wrong, and Nigerians are not asking questions. You are building a coastal road that is almost as equivalent of the national budget. Meanwhile, we have a lot of federal roads out there which are very, very bad. And to think that because of the variation in the exchange rate, the government they've had to borrow $700 million as variation cost for the coastal road. How many Nigerians will benefit for that road? So when people say there's no money, the investments, no, that I don't think so. What the government is doing, if you say, okay, they are borrowing to build up the GDP, it's fine. But if you are borrowing to service the budget, what about these monies that you have generated? These are some of the things that begs for answers. But of course, if you say these things in Nigeria, if you're in Nigeria, they send the authorities to teach you a small lesson.
Well, we
Yes.
are saying them now. We've spent 1 hour talking about the CPC. So we'll skip the issue of the rumors of coup. What is your take, Uncle P, about these happenings that have taken place in Cameroon and Tanzania? What do you think will happen? Just in 1 or 2 minutes, what is your take about the happenings in Cameroon and Tanzania?
Yeah, you see, I have not been following what is going on there. If you're thinking about the election,
The elections and the protests that started.
yeah, you see,
Do you think that this is the end of those governments?
well, I noticed what I just saw before I came upstairs when I was trying to log on was that the president to be elected has flown out by helicopter, have flown out of the country. If that is true, then I don't see how that thing is going to come back. You have crisis, you say you won election, people are protesting against it, you run away. Well, but then you come back or not to them. But if you look at if I'm trying to leave Tanzania at this place, if I might leave that briefly, I know which is short time. What we have to say to ourselves, we're talking about Nigeria. Could this happen in Nigeria? That is the question. You see, my brother is talking about borrowing money. Any country by now, I think, is it 150 or 250 people were killed in Benue? I think that it was 250 people. Then
Yes, thereabout.
what
Yes.
I said at the time, I said to people in Nigeria, okay, it's easier for me to say because I'm not there. When that happened, and Tinubu was out of the country, they should have made sure his plane will not land anywhere in Nigeria. We did do it. If you remember, when Gowon was removed from power, they did not go for the summit and they told him not to come back because they would not allow his plane to land. That's what they should have done to Tinubu. Something has to happen, Honorable, for us to wake up. We are sleepwalking in Nigeria. We are. And no one is prepared. Even, let me take you back briefly. The end of SARS, the reason it did succeed is that when they kill few people, don't get me wrong, nobody should have been killed. We stop. And when you look back today, the people that were killed in the end of SARS, what have they achieved? They die for nothing because we did not continue. If we are continue, we will get results. Because we stop, We didn't get any result. The people just died for not. Today we celebrate the people that fought in Second World War, First World War, because what they did to keep us where we are today. But that is not happening. So to come to your point, even when you talk about, I didn't know you talk about it. You know my take on this. I have always been saying that we don't have military in Nigeria to stage a successful coup. I've been saying this to ever since you know me. We don't, because there are more politicians than the real politicians. So they can, if a coup can succeed in Nigeria, I have said this to you, it's going to be carried out by ex-servicemen, not serving officer. We cannot stage a coup in Nigeria. If it is a coup, the rumor is this: if it is a coup, if it is attempted coup, you press can go and find out why has the president not addressed the nation? Number one. Two, why did the military not make a categorical statement? All we are hearing is from the media, not from the source. How do we know it's a coup? When you put all this together, you see, you can ask yourself, has this anything to do with 2027 or not? That's a question. But to tell you bluntly, if this is a coup, it was handled badly. And the president, I don't think he has the clue. We have a president today, honorable, that he came to power. He did not have a blueprint. That's what we are paying for. He didn't have a blueprint. He didn't have a plan. If you look at the first statement he made when he was sworn in, you are not a government. You don't have minister. You don't have advisor. You say subsidy is gone. On which authority? As soon as he said that, the following day, did the price of petrol not go up? Has it come down? No. The man hasn't got a clue. What do we do about it? Can we? I don't know. Because all I know is that,
Okay.
number one, we're talking about 2027. Two, how do we know we are going to have a country called Nigeria in 2027? Three, how are we going to conduct this election? Where Fulani herdsmen are killing us, kidnapping us, how are we going to campaign? How are we going to vote? So all this one is in the air. The Tanzania and wherever, if what is happening there, what we should take from that, we should learn something from what is happening there. Some people in Nigeria can't sit together and say it will not happen here, because human endurance has got a limit. We have been pushing, Nigeria have been pushing, they have been pushing. They're going to push them to the wall. And when they get to that point, my brother, they go to, when they do that, a lot of people will go. A lot of people will go.
Okay, let me go over to Dr. Joel. Dr. Joel lives in Portugal, while Uncle P lives in
London. Late buzzard, if you want to know.
Yes. Okay. What is your take so that we round up?
Yeah, for the Tanzania, I think when you discuss elections in Africa, you have to look at it from two dimensions: foreign interest and domestic interest. Because Africa is more like an estate to some of these Western powers. I say this because if you go to the UK, you go to the EU, you go to America, the G7 countries, there are departments for African affairs. So Africa is treated like more like, and what determines these affairs is the interest of the countries in power. Yesterday, I had a robust discussion with someone, a Cameroonian, about the elections in Cameroon. And then, as we speak, Paul Biya is not even in Cameroon. He's somewhere in Switzerland or Singapore or even in Paris as we speak. You see, why this man has lingered so much there is because of his interest, of the French interest in Cameroon and its proximity to Niger. And one of the reasons why Chiroma in Cameroon might not become president, despite all of the hues and cries, is because the French will try to protect her interest in Cameroon, and the fact that Chiroma, who is from the core northern part of Cameroon, might have serious interest or serious affiliation with the regime in Cameroon, in Niger, that has tried to truncate French interest in Cameroon. That is on one side. And now the protests, and I've always said this. I've said it times without number, that the kind of democracy practiced in Africa is peculiar. It's different from the general principles of democracy practiced in every part of the world. Because democracy we have in Africa is just contextual. Yes, elections and the rest of them. But the true elements of democracy, like we see it entrenched in different parts of the world where we borrowed it from, it's not there. Look at Nigeria. Look at what is happening. Look at the style of opposition politics that they are playing in Nigeria. The ruling party or the party in government is doing everything to destabilize other political parties, to weaken opposition when it comes to the election in 2027. And it will definitely have effect in that election. Now, if you go to the same thing this woman wanted to do, but she didn't do it on time in Tanzania. She only did it. It became very, very obvious when it was close to the election. All those opposition or people who will have problem with that they were jailed. And then the people felt they are, because in the equation of democracy, as far as Nigeria is concerned, the people they are not even part of the elements there, because otherwise the election should be for the people, not about the political class. So what she did all opposition. At the end of the day, I was following the elections keenly. At the end of the day, she was declared to have won out of 37 million registered voters. She won 31 million votes in in Tanzania, declaring her, meaning that she had over 70%. The same thing in Cameroon. At the end of the day, a man who was not even there to contest the election said, according to the constitutional provision, he got 53.5% of the total votes in Cameroon, declaring him the winner, and the rest of them. So all these rubbishes, and why you have not seen the international community, talk about these elections that happen in these places, is because their interests are protected. So you are saying whether those protests will have success or not. The success of those protests will be hinged upon the interests of the people, the foreign powers that have interest in these countries. Look at what happened when we had Laurent Gbagbo, when he contested the election in Cote d'Ivoire. Before Alassane Ouattara came in, what happened was that after they fight the elections and the rest of them, simply because Alassane Ouattara, who now declared that he was going to even up his interest of France there in Ivory Coast. What did France do? They sent troops that later captured Laurent Gbagbo and got him arrested. So the same thing we are going to see now. The same Alassane Ouattara, whose interests, whose French troop and the rest protested interests, arrested Laurent Gbagbo, has now declared he's going to rerun for another election. Can that happen in France? It cannot happen in France. But France will indulge him simply because the interest is protected. So if you're looking at the elections in Nigeria, Africa, and I tell somebody, I said, one of the reasons that legitimized Bola Ahmed Tinubu as president is simply because at the end of the day, he compromised and the interests of different countries were protected as far as that election is concerned. Because otherwise, the material evidence they needed against him at the Supreme Court, imagine how last minute Joe Biden prevented the FBI and the Homeland Security of releasing those classified information. If those things had gone public, they probably would have helped. So when you look at elections,
Correction, point of correction. Tinubu did
yes,
not
sir.
win the election.
That's what I'm saying, sir.
Tinubu is
He
president of
legitimized
Nigeria
it.
today because INEC and the judiciary put him there.
That's what I'm saying, sir. At the end of the day, he got legitimacy for that presidency because foreign interests were protected at the end of the day. So,
Okay, Dr. Joel and Uncle P, I think we have to call it a date. I think we should expand this discussion next week, have more people so that we can have some robust discussion.
Okay,
Thank
sir.
you very much it's been very interesting conversation. And I think we need to really talk to ourselves properly about this.
Yeah.
You have the last word, Uncle P?
Yeah.
Last word, 1 minute.
I don't know your friend's name.
His name
My
is
name is
Dr.
Joel,
Joel
sir.
Ikemie.
Oh, anyway, doctor and honorable, thank you very much for even allowing me to say a few words. Appreciate that. The fact of the matter is that we keep trying. I know the people in Nigeria don't listen, but one way or the other, maybe one day we will get there. We have to keep talking. We cannot stop talking because they're not listening anyway. Maybe just because they are not listening, we don't have to stop. And I think the opportunity to talk to. Maybe next time we chat more.
Okay,
Sorry,
sir.
I came in late. I don't know.
No problem.
I was just looking through my email and I saw something from Honorable. So I said, let me quickly see if I can join you. So
thank you, sir.
Next time,
okay, Dr. Joel.
Advance one, I join
thank
you.
You, sir.
But, I thank you very much anyway. Thank you very much. I hope you'll
Thank
be
you, sir.
around next time as well. Doctor?
Yes, sir, definitely, sir. I'll be around, sir.
Thank you. Okay, Honorable.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. You have a nice evening, all of you.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, sir.
Next week, I think we resume the conversation.
Okay.
And then have more people join us. Thank you very much.
I hope so.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, sir.
Okay.